Hi Tony, thank you for joining me on the podcast. How are you doing?
Oh, great, Ethan. No problem. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries. I've been looking forward to this episode and getting the chance to speak to you. So let's go right back then. What was your childhood like growing up in Salford?
It was all right, actually. It was a lot better than things are now, by the looks of it. We had grew up council estate, no money. Everyone knew everyone all the way down the streets. Summer holidays, you went out at 8 o'clock in the morning, come back at 8 o'clock at night, stinking of smoke, starving. Got clipped round here and got some tea. Yeah, it's a great childhood. Great.
So when did music come into your life?
I'd say around about 80, 81. It's a different sound. I started hearing electronic music and it just caught me here, like Orchestra Medusa in the Dark and Newman League and stuff like that. And then around about 83, um, breakdancing came out and electro came out, and that was it. Hooked, completely hooked. So I joined Salford City Breakers breakdancing crew, but I was rubbish, absolute rubbish. Everyone else was brilliant. One of them went on to be world champion.
Really?
I tried it, I couldn't do it, but I always that's when I started collecting music. That's when I used to go to spinning, which I ended up working there, but it was on Cross Street at the time. And I used to go and whatever money I got, and it was terrifying going and spinning because it was like there was no social media, so if you heard a tune, you just go in and you'd be scared to ask behind the counter, but you'd have to sing it because you couldn't say it's this or it's that. So I just used to start buying electro, just started collecting from there.
Did that not, when you started DJing stuff, did that not help then, not being, if you heard a tune, not being able to know what it was?
Still, so when I started going to the Hacienda, about 86, 87, my brother used to be a mobile DJ and I used to work for him on a fish stall. So on a Saturday, I used to go to spinning to collect his records because he used to DJ, like mobile DJ in pubs, but he used to play 12 inches. So I used to go and collect them. And then one of the guys, Russ, behind the counter, said, have a listen to this. And I think it was Nitro Deluxe, This Brutal House, and it was completely different. And as soon as I heard it, that was it, hooked. Nothing else. There wasn't just in anything else. So then I used to go and just spend all my wages on that house music coming out, but it wasn't. It was dead hard to get then. So it was just a case of waiting for records to come in.
Yeah. When did you start DJing then?
I started DJing in Hotel Youth Club in '83, and then seriously around about 87, 88, started getting a few gigs in Salford, just illegal parties, and then started working at just little bits because there was nowhere to DJ then in Manchester. There was the Man Alive, 42nd Street, Hacienda. No, there was no clubs. There wasn't any, and it was still shirt and tie. Everyone had to wear a shirt and tie. It was just going to like places like Rotters, Tropicana, and you go in, and then it'd just be fighting all the time, and then clubs wouldn't have house music because there wasn't enough people, and they thought everyone was weird. So it took a while for it to get going. So I think one of my first clubs was the Man Alive, just on the outskirts of Moss Side, and that was about 1987, 88, and it just took from there.
What were the early gigs like? Were you still trying to find your feet and stuff?
No, not really, because when I bought my Technics decks, you couldn't buy them then. We had to order them from Germany. I think it was on Deansgate. I'm sure the shop was called Beach Street, and the guy behind the counter, Andy. And then that was 1986, 87, and I ordered my first Technics 1200, and it took about 6 months to come. And I think it's 565 quid. Then they were dead expensive. But I'd already bought some Citronics belt drive turntables then. So I learned how to mix on the Citronics if the belt drives are really hard. And then when I got my Technics decks, it was just a breeze. So when I didn't have any fear of going into clubs, you couldn't get a gig because there was nowhere to gig. So when you got a gig, you're so excited. Now there's gigs everywhere, but I was never nervous, never ever nervous.
It was still like pretty underground when you started, wasn't it? DJing and
Oh
clubbing
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
really underground. I mean, when I was in Salford and everyone was still going to Rotters in the shirt and ties, I used to go to the Hacienda, and we just called me a weirdo. No one knew about it. So I'd be going through the Hacienda, and then I'd go to Affleck's Palace, and the little badges saying like Manchester E-Posse and stuff like that. So if you had one of them badges and you was walking around Manchester and someone seen you, be like, giving it, because it was so underground, nobody knew about it. And then I'd go to pubs in Salford, the Ship on Cross Lane on a Sunday night, and I just dressed. I'd have my hoodie on and flares on, and everyone like weird, and then it was underground for quite a while after that, and then everybody caught onto it.
Can you remember when it started to take off?
88, I reckon, middle of 88. That's when people, I mean, to be fair, I think the drugs played a big part of it, because the drug scene was already there. But then when the criminals and the gangsters realised they could make money out of it, that's when they started flooding it, and the drugs became cheaper and more people take them, and then it just exploded. But I think there was only a golden period, I'd say, from 87 to 89, maybe 90, when it was truly pure and brilliant. And then after that, it became commercial. And it just, for me, it does it from there. Still exists now, but in a completely different format. But for me, there was only a small window, and before social media, that it was truly pure and truly brilliant. Best, because I think there's only a couple of global shifts. You had rock and roll, which was a complete global shift. And if you think between rock and roll and the house music scene, then you have stuff like punk and things like that, and new wave, but it wasn't global shifts. And then I think the introduction of house music and ecstasy, when they come at the same time, changed the world. And the electronic music changed the world, because you can't think of anything now, music that can be made that's not already been made sounds. That's you find it very difficult to see something that's going to change the world musically, like rock and roll did, then house music did. And there's been other things in between, but not in them kind of global shifts.
Yeah, it must have been an exciting time. There must have been 89 and 90 being there.
Well, I was 17, and I was working in the fish market, and I got spinning, which was the coolest shop in the world. One of the first music dance shops. And just to get served was scary. And then I was ended because then in the end, because they knew I was probably spending more money in there than anybody else, so I used to go in, and then they'd just give me a bag, take it home, see what I liked, and bring it back. But I never used to bring anything back. So if it was a house music record, I'd buy it. And then they offered me, because there was a guy called Mike there, and Spinning had an office on the corner doing CDs. So Mike went upstairs and they offered me a Saturday job there. It's like, I've got a job at Spinning. It was just the coolest place. And so from working in the fish market when I was 17 to going working at Spinning in Manchester City Centre overnight, when I was 18 or something like that, just crackers, crazy, but brilliant.
Did it broaden your music taste and make you discover new songs working there?
I was thinking about this the other day, and I think it narrowed me. House music narrowed my mind, because I always liked all different types of music, and then when house music came out, I couldn't hear anything else. Like now, I love the Stone Roses, but in them days when the Stone Roses were massive and in Spiral Carpets, never used to listen to them. It didn't compute, it didn't register. I was just so blinkered on house music, but now I think I went like that in, and then I was like an egg timer. So I've got my musical taste went narrow and then back out again.
You mentioned there like rock and roll, punk, acid house and stuff. Do you think it was like being part of a group and against the establishment kind of thing that was kind of a drive for it? And the music as well, obviously.
I think it was. There was that much of a void from, I don't know, the 70s into the 80s before. There was just nothing. There was nothing to do. I mean, like, you go to a nightclub, but then they'd be playing Dexys Midnight Runners, and they're playing, it was just, life was just boring. And then this guy, I don't think it was like a revolt against it, but when it came out, it was such so different. I wasn't around when rock and roll first came out, but I can imagine because they didn't show Elvis below his waist because he was moving. You know, that's how crazy it was. And then it was just for me. It was just a void for years and years and years, and it just moves. It just and society just floats along, and then house music come out. And I don't think it's so much of it. It was just something new that people went, bingo, I'll have a bit of that because it's ace and it's different and it's waking me up and it's giving me new senses and vibes. And so I don't think there's so much of a revolt. But then at the same time, when it did come out and people wanted to go on parties, so there's legal parties, the establishment, the police, the government, they just didn't know what it was. You see all these people eat up and they look and they were like, all the headlines were like monsters and this and that. It's just people just want to fight. And they're like, they go and have go to a legal rave, or they want to do an illegal rave, and the people, police come in smashing up. Then people are like, just leave us alone. Just let's go and have this party here, then we'll go. You know, and then after a while, the police thought, what we're doing, spending all these resources going to try these parties down, and when actually they're not doing that much wrong. They've got breaking into a warehouse which is not being used, putting some decks in. I got arrested loads of times and got my records taken off. Now all I was doing was setting up, playing some music. People were dancing all night, and then see ya. That was it. There's nothing wrong, but it was just so much of a shift, so much of a big thing that the police at first and the government and all the authorities didn't know what was going on.
What were those?
And then they realised because there was a lot of criminal activity. Then I think it was I'm sure it was Grange Stringer from Manchester Council. I think he made a point saying, leave them because we know they're all there. So we know where they all are, and there's less going on here, there, and everywhere. So let them at it, let them do it.
What were those illegal raves like though? It must have been pretty mad.
Oh, just fantastic, just fantastic because ecstasy. It was two things that collided, and the drugs are so pure at the time. It was just like when I used to go to the Hacienda when I was 17, 18, you'd go in, there's no mobile phones, no one taking videos. It was just the music, and I'd get on the dance floor at 10 o'clock, close my eyes and open them at 2 o'clock when they were getting kicked out. That's how it was, and it's a shame now to see people now. And like I was watching a video of a bicep gig the other day at the Printworks, and every single one in the crowd was stood there. It was from the back of the crowd to the stage, and every single person, no one was dancing, no one was doing nothing, just taking videos. And what for what? Where's the enjoyment? They're not going to enjoy themselves. It's gone that much full circle and it's become that commercial. It's just diluted it, and people don't go to clubs now to enjoy themselves. They go to, I don't know what they go for actually, but they don't go to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned there like ecstasy and the drug scene and stuff, but that kind of ended the scene as well, didn't it? With gangs and stuff and fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. It was such a shame. It went to the point. My brother was a doorman at the Hacienda, and it got to the point where, because it was so lucrative, and people were muscling it. If you went in the Hacienda, I'm not sure what the criminals what they'd make, but they'd obviously make a lot of money. And then so you got you had Cheetham Hill, you had Salford, you had Moss Side, and all these factions all wanting to take control of clubs. And it just were at one point in Manchester, it was called like Gunchester, and there was that many murders going on at the time. It didn't even make the front pages, and it was page 7 or man killed in Moss Side on Moss Side precinct. It was just the norm. But and then the first time the Hacienda shut, they said just we have to shut it down. It's just we can't control, so they had to put all the metal detectors in. But there's people walking in with Uzis and all gangs going and just going to the bar and not paying, and it was sucking the life out of the scene, and to the point where they sucked it out completely. Such a shame. But I think it wasn't just in Manchester, by the way. It was everywhere, and I think that's just a natural progression. How it would be when there's lots of people with lots of money wanting to buy a commodity, what criminals can supply, then it's going to happen. It will always happen.
when the scene was,
Sadly.
what you say? Sorry.
Sadly.
Yeah. When the scene was massive, though, did you prefer DJing or being in and amongst the crowd?
I was doing both at the same time. When I was DJing, I was a punter. I was enjoying it as much, well, hopefully enjoying it as much as, hopefully they were enjoying it. But I've always, when I was DJing, I'm just a punter like them. Just get involved just as much as them. And really passion for DJing, but it just when you get in the zone and when it clicks and you got the crowd with you, nothing better. But for 10 years, like me, Steve Williams, Sasha, always used to knock about together. Pretty much used to live together. So if I wasn't DJing, I was going somewhere where Sasha was DJing or Steve was DJing. So I was out probably 7 nights a week for however many years. Took its toll, but I won't change it.
Do you you know what makes a DJ stand out from another DJ? Obviously, there's the songs, but is there something else?
Passion for me, I think absolute passion. Like there weren't that many DJs about at the time when we all first started, and now like then it started getting a bit more commercial. I remember I was doing club in Leeds. I can't remember. Well, it might have been back to Base, something like that. Anyway, and a really famous DJ. I'm not going to mention his name. It's Boy George. He was on after me, and his first record he played was Robin S. "Show Me Love," and that was a big tune. I never got to understand it, but as a DJ, you don't start with that. You construct the night, you get the people involved and take them on a journey, and it was just for them. It just wasn't. I believe now he's a really good DJ. He got better, but you have to take the crowd on the journey, and you don't just bang it after banger because like back in the day, we always used to be on. I always used to be on last, so you get up and coming DJs that want to make a name for themselves, so they just play the bangers and a banger. If I ever was setting up for playing before somebody, you just fill the night to them, let them out, because it's not about the DJ, it's about the crowd. You're getting a DJ job is to go and entertain the crowd as much as you possibly can. That's how you get paid. You get paid well for it. So if I was on for somebody, you read the crowd and you start a progression, so it's seamless for the next DJ, and they understand that. A good DJ will understand that as well. But you get DJs that come on and play K-Class, Rhythm is a Mystery at like 9 o'clock at night. The crowd don't want that. They don't want it, and it's unfair. So, but then if you get a good set of DJs constructing the night properly, it's perfect. And when the punters go, that's what they get. That's what they're paying money for. And if it's right, it can be fantastic.
Obviously, you want to play, like you say, the big tunes like near the end and get them. You know what I mean? But would you rather play them a track they've not heard before, like give them something new?
Yeah, I always used to play B-sides. I always not prided myself, because looking back, I didn't think of that at the time, but I was such a vinyl nerd. I could tell you 35, 45 ppm, who's a producer, who's a mixer, when it's made, when it's pressed, blah 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 blah. So I always like, if I got a record, if it was like a big tune like K-Class, I'd always look on the B side or the track 3, and if it's an EP. So a lot of the time I play tracks that nobody's heard and still never heard. But if you construct it, see, you can play a record and it can sound terrible. It'll go down like a ton of bricks. Play it 10 minutes later, if you construct it right, and it'll bring the house down. And it doesn't have to be a track that everybody knows. It's just if you get them and you do it right, then they just go for it, and you understand it. And then you'll play a tune. Nobody might know it, and then it drops right, and then it comes back in, and everyone feels it. It can be 90% of the time they've never heard of it.
Yeah,
that's the art of DJing.
Yeah, you mentioned there like you're building the audience up. How would you approach a set? Like you do that, but would it change like depending on where you're playing and who you're playing to and stuff like that?
I suppose so, yeah, but I've never done, like DJs now, and for a long time, they have a pre-planned set, because the money's that big in it, then they have to sell the CD from the night and, this and that. So it's all pre-programmed, and so they can't slip. Like if I'm mixing and I slip a bit, you can hear it. Not often because I'm a really good mixer. I'm joking about it. But so yeah, it does depend. But I'd often go and be there, and like if I was on at 12 o'clock, 5 to 12, and not pick what record I'm going to start with. But then you might get it wrong. You get the vibe. So, and as the art of DJing, you know how to construct anyway. But that it's not pre-planned. It just comes from within, if you know what I mean.
You mentioned there you had some mates that were DJs like Sasha, but was the scene competitive as well? Like if you had a gig that somebody else didn't have, was it a bit competitive or?
Not competitive. You got the gigs that you got. You jealous, huh?
Yeah.
But I once, I don't know. I reckon some DJs might think it that way. But no, yeah, it was like I remember one night I was playing at Venus in Nottingham. Sasha was playing, I was playing, and then when we finished, they drove us to Aston Villa football ground, I think it was, and Sasha got picked up in an helicopter to go and do another gig somewhere because he couldn't drive it. And I didn't want on that gig, and that's jealous. But it's not like and he was getting paid a fortune for it as well. That was when he was at his like massive. But in fact, them days, Sasha was earning that much money. Brilliant guy as well, brilliant DJ. He was paying me out of his wages.
Really?
And I was getting paid. Yeah, when he was playing at Nottingham, he was paying me out of his wages. And then and then we went. Some guy picked us up. What was it? In a Porsche, whatever it was, and then drove to. Sure, it was Aston Villa ground, and a helicopter landed, and off he went.
At that time, though, DJs were seen as like godlike figures, massive superstars.
Yeah. Sasha had become that big. There was a Mixmag article, and it was the Son of God interview. He's famous. He's dead famous, and he's on the front, and he's got a halo around him. And he was, because I used to work at them days. We always used to work together, pretty much everywhere, and it was crazy. I mean, we DJ at Shaboo on a Tuesday night in Blackpool. So this is a Tuesday night midweek. It doesn't happen now, and they'd be queuing from like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And if it held 1,600, which I think it did, there'd be 4,000 people outside on a Tuesday afternoon. Once again, it's crazy.
What's like your favourite memory from that time when it was massive?
I think my favourite memory was when I played the GMX of 808 State, and I think it was only 19 or 90, and I put all the hard work in. I spent all my wages on records, and then my ex-partner at the time, she come to the gig, and it was the biggest gig in the country at the time. 808 State were the biggest dance music band in the world. So me, Sasha, Nipper, I think Steve Williams was playing, I'm not sure. So we was playing, and it was the hottest. You couldn't get a ticket for it. You just could not get a ticket. And my ex-partner, she came, and she just looked. She said, "Congratulations," said, "You've done it after all your work." And I thought, "You're right there." And I was 20 years old. And then the next, I think 2 days later, I was on a plane and was doing a tour of Italy with Warner Brothers. It's crazy. I've gone from the fish market to in a dead short space of time.
How did you deal with that?
I did a hell of it fine. It didn't bother me. I think what it was, I didn't realise the situation, what I was in at the time, and how precious and how special the situation was. But I don't think he appreciated how hard I worked to get there. You know, I wasn't getting tagged along. I was there on merit.
Yeah.
So looking back on it, I was always dead number. Like when the gig finished, I just closed my record box, and and people they have flyers of the night, autographs. Yeah. Just like, yeah, Sam, like that, Sam. Cheers.
Yeah, just taking each day as it comes, kind of thing.
Yeah. Just not appreciating it. I don't think he's appreciated it as much as looking back on it now. I mean, when I do gigs now, and like I really, really appreciate it, soak it all in. I think it just happened that quick, and it was like, boom, you're working there, you're going on tour day, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that, yeah. Knock about loads of people, you're going on the guest list of the Hacienda, and it's just normal, but not normal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So what were 808 State like? What was that night like for you?
Oh, just excellent. I think was K11. I think K11. Oh, or PK. I can't remember it was, but I've done big gigs leading up to that. Like I say, there wasn't that many DJs around, but it was the hottest gig. I think the week before, 808 State were on Top of Pops, and it was #1 in the charts. No, Pacific State or Cupid, or whatever. It was just and then my mates. And then it's just, and they were as normal as I was. Like, oh yeah, we're doing GMX next week. Yeah, sound, yeah, sorted. And I remember speaking to Anda, and I think they made something like £100 out of it. All the production you put on. It's daft.
When did you first meet 808 State then?
I think now about 87, 88. I was doing a club in Manchester called The Man Alive, and their brother, Andy from 808 State, his brother Eric was their manager, stroke merchandise guy, and he was putting a night on there. So I was working for Eric at the Soundguard at the Man Alive, and Andy and Darren, who were the spin masters from 808 State, they were DJs from 808 State. They were working at the Soundgarden in Manchester, just near Affleck's Palace. And then Eric must have said, "Do you want to come and play at the Soundgarden?" So that's how I got. But I knew him anyway because it was the Manchester scene. I knew him, but didn't know him.
Yeah.
But because they were DJs, I bumped into him, and then I just started working with him, and then just started working lots more with him, and then touring with him, and just all sorts.
What were your favourite tour with them? Like, where were your favourite places to play?
Because it was that special at the time. Everywhere was special. Everywhere was your favourite place. You get booked for somewhere, and you turn up like there wasn't even any something. The guy would phone you and say, "Right, you got to come and play at this club." Yeah, it's in Nottingham. Right. So you drive, and there'd be set 8 years in a car. You just have to find it. We used to have road maps. You go to Scotland, and everyone will be half pissed, and it's like, right, it's this way. No, it's not. It's that way. No, it's that way. So every gig had its own merit. There's loads because then you had residences here. Like I've done loads in Leeds. I love playing in Leeds. Well, every gig had its own little unique thing. And I used to really like playing small clubs, low ceiling, 100, 150 people, because it's so connected and so close. And when you get them, you've got them sorted.
You've played in IB from places all over the world. What is that like playing worldwide?
It's all right because I played in the Ibiza in 1990 when there was like you got Cafe Mambo, Cafe Savannah. They were just a little bar on the beach. There wasn't, and we played there in 1990. There's a guy called Charlie Chester from London who'd done Ibiza 90. So there was loads of DJs from London, all the flying lot, and all the big DJs, and then there's a couple from Scotland, and then there's me, Sasha, Steve Wilderfink, John De Silva from Manchester, and we all flew out there and played for a couple of weeks out there. But again, then that was just flyers and word of mouth. That's all it was. But then it's not like it is now. I played at Space a few years ago, and Sankey's a few years ago. But the first time I played 1990, and it was just a little club. It wasn't the super clubs that they are now, but it was a million times better. When I played at Sankey's about 6, 7, 8 years ago, and on after me was Paris Hilton. She was getting paid 175 grand. She's not fucking DJing, excuse my French. And I was just watching her, and she'd sell out a glass of champagne. But getting paid an absolute fortune. But the club make money out of it. They do a DVD, they do a CD, But that's not music. It's nothing about music. Nothing at all about music. It's about making money.
You did fall out of love with DJing. Is that like what it was, like stuff like that?
Yeah. When it came commercial, I thought, not for me anymore. Like I said, when I'm playing, and then Boy George was playing Robin S, and I thought, it's gone. But the crowd had gone as well. The crowd were going to, like Nigel Benn was DJing, and people were going because it was Nigel, not to listen to Nigel Benn or to listen to Boy George. I'm saying their names. I don't want to slag them off. I'm just saying people were going to because it was them, not because of their DJing skills. And it just because so people were going out just to go out. It just went to people going out, not listening to music. And then had enough.
You must have some like crazy stories of like fan encounters and celebrity encounters. Is the one that sticks out to you?
Loads. I've met loads and loads of celebrities. I think it was in Glastonbury a couple of years ago. So I was sat having a beer, a few of my mates from Salford, and then we're talking to this guy, and then Soundless lad was in a bar called Gorilla Bar, private members bar in Glastonbury, and I was talking to him. Seemed all right, seemed sound, and then when I got back, I was watching the highlights from Glastonbury, and I was watching. I thought, where do I know him from? And it was Lewis Capaldi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, where do I know him from? And I could not put my finger on it. And then I texted me mate. I said, you know that guy? We was having a beer. I said, what was his name? He said, oh, Lewis. All right, Sam, sorted. Yeah, but we must met loads. Some all right. Met all the girls are all girls. Some are all right. Some are massive bellends.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but yeah, well, some people believe in their own importance.
Yeah.
And we was at Glastonbury again about 10 years ago, and this girl from her dad was in a really famous rock band, and all the posh mates were there, and he was just really rude. I said, you ought to be a bit more polite to people. And they were not in touch with society. And then they ended up back in our camp in the morning. She still had this little dress on about that big. She was in the middle of nowhere, so I made her some beans on toast, and I said, there you go, put a coat round her. And she just looked, she went, yeah, I know, maybe it should be. People are people.
That's the thing with people that are born into like, mega superstar families and that. There must be no touch of reality at all.
They just believe in what people tell them. People say you're this and that, and they believe it. But you're not. You're just Joe from like the next person.
Yeah.
Mind your neck in. Appreciate what you've got. Enjoy. I used to love the great DJing, best job in the world. You just DJ. You don't make you anything. Don't elevate you to somebody else that you're not. You're still that person. You could be that and just be a goon anyway.
Yeah,
like a few are. Yeah. Fame doesn't make anything other than famous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You mentioned you moved to Australia. When was that? 92?
96.
Oh, was it 96? Oh, I thought you moved
96. Yeah, 96, I think it was. 96, because I was in Tenerife, DJing in Tenerife in 92. So it was 96. It didn't last long in Australia. By that time, me head had gone. I took far too many drugs. Because I was out partying 7 days a week, and I got there. What happened was I was DJing Chaos in the Warehouse in Leeds in September, and this guy came over. Chad, his name was. He promoted from Australia, and at that time we had a fiance in a house in Salford, and then we split up. So this guy, when I was in Leeds in September, he said, "Do you want to come and play in Sydney on New Year's Eve?" So I said, "Of course I do." Right, I do. So then kept in contact with him, and I split up with my missus, and he said, "Look," he said, "why don't you come over here, live with me?" He said, "I'll smash it for you. You'll be DJing in King's Cross, Bondi Beach, blah, blah." So I thought, why not? So I went and then moved in with him, and his bedroom was about that big. And I was lying on the floor next to him, and he's living with his mum as well. And all they done was scream and shout at each other. And he didn't give me any work, by the way. So then I just used to get up in the morning and just walk out of the house and just walk into Sydney. Because where we was living, if you get Sydney Harbour Bridge, you've got the Opera House there. We was living this side of the bridge on this place called Miller's Point. Really, really nice. But I just used to get up and walk in. I was just lost. And my head was gone anyway. And so that didn't last long anyway.
Did you mentioned there like the drugs took a toll and stuff. Did it affect your DJing like on a night when you take drugs and DJ?
No, it just affected like a lot of people at the scene and time, but it never affected me DJing. Never, no, not that I can recall. Anyway, it may have done, but on hand on heart, I don't think it did.
When did you realise it took a toll? Like 96 time?
Yeah. I think it's when I was coming out of the scene and taking less and less drugs, and then it starts to then you're coming out of this like bubble and you're coming back to reality. And then you're not going out 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week, 7 nights a week. And yeah, it won't just be took its toll on lots and lots and lots of people. Lots of people. Yeah, but I reckon around about that time. On the other side of the coin, you'd live your life in passages, and that was a time in my life. I don't think I would have had the time that I had, or the career that I had, or the moments and special time that they had if XCC wasn't around at that time. That time wouldn't have existed, I don't think. The two married in harmony, and one wouldn't have existed to the point it did without the other.
When you fell out of love with DJ, did it hurt a bit? Like, was it hard to take?
Oh, yeah. It was more like then it became a bit like I was a bit spiteful because I was watching these DJs and I wasn't watching these DJs, but and then they're getting paid these vast sums of money, and it wasn't so much the money was getting paid or anything like that. It's the ruined our scene, what we made, what we created, because we created that scene. We created the foundations for that to go on, and the style of music, and they just come along and just ruined it. No, they did just ruin it. I don't like if someone's going to offer you £100 to play a night, and you can't DJ, you're gonna take it anyway. But yeah, then I just I never used to go out, never used to listen to anything, never used to listen to house music, and then I went to Ibiza with my missus and her twin sister. Good few years later, and we was in Eden, and I can't remember who was playing. And I said, "This is fucking rubbish." This. I said I could do better. We're on a Kenwood Chef, mix better than Kenwood Chef. We'll buy some decks and start DJing again. So I was thinking about playing home. So I did. I bought some decks again, and then just started getting back into it.
What was your first gig like back when you started again?
Can't remember which one it was. I think it was with 808 State, because I moved up to Stockport, and I was in a pub called the Elizabethan, and I was having a pint with my mate Mark Heath, and I was looking for that's Andy from 808 there. So we sat with this girl at the back of the bus, and I was all right, because I'd not been in contact with anybody. So I said, "All right, Andy, all right." So yeah, I said, "Oh," so he said, "Give your number," and then a couple of weeks later, we just started talking again, and I just started getting back into it then. So he said, "You ought to come and do a few gigs." So I think one of them was, I'm not actually now, maybe a bit later. We started doing a lot of festivals like Park Life and Kendall Call and stuff like that. It was more bigger gigs, more festival gigs.
What would you do?
So then, see, the music changed then, because in the old days, no two records were the same. So the art of mixing was really difficult. And then when I've started playing again, and a lot of records were digital, I just found it easy. Just got back into it like that, but really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed doing it.
What were you doing in between the time, like when you finished DJing and getting back into it?
Just normal work. I was in recruitment. I used to deliver beer. Just different things. I was in recruitment for 10 years. Really high pressure job, and then I just walked in one day and said, "There's your keys." I'm not having any more.
Did you start a radio station with Andy from 808 State?
No, they used to do Sunset Radio, and on a Sunday night just after the Chinese show and before the religious show with Mike Shaft, and it was. I mean, 808 State were massive, and the Spin Masters and in Darren, they hosted the show, and they were. It's still legendary now. It's still online. We used to get. So this is a small radio station in Manchester, and it was getting 250,000 listeners on a Sunday night, and it was crackers. It was bonkers. But I used to go on there every now and then, and just be on the show with him and play with him. But it was just madness from start to finish. People used to phone in with problems, and we give them solutions to it. Just crackers stuff.
Are you still DJing now, right now then?
No, well, kind of. I do Glastonbury every year, and it's coming up in a couple of weeks. But I'm moving to Spain in a couple of weeks. So when my DJ partner Andy passed away a few years ago, that had a massive effect on me. Still has a massive effect on me. Not only was he my DJ partner, he was my best friend, and we used to DJ everywhere together. And then when he passed away, I'd done a few gigs after that, and just when he wasn't by my side, it wasn't the same. So just wound down now. So someone says you've got to go and do a massive festival. I'll do it definitely. Like, but other than that, no. So kind of hanging up my boots now. I'm going to Spain in a couple of weeks. My daughter's got a bar there, so I'm going to go and spin a few there on a Saturday night. Happy Mondays bar, Coletto, Forteventura. If you're going there, make sure you go there and come and see us at the park. That's a big plug. So I'm going to just go and play. I won't be playing like DJing. I'm going to play from Mellow Vibes or something. I don't know, whatever, Northern Soul, 80, whatever. Just going to go and have a bit of fun.
Yeah, it sounds good though. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it like playing Glastonbury and DJing there?
Like I say, I remember the first time I went and with Andy, and I'd never been to Glastonbury, but I'd never fancied it. And then my brother's got a fish shop in Moss Side, and I was working at the fish shop, and Andy rang me and he said, right, I need to know straight away, do you want to come to Glastonbury? I was like, yeah, of course I do. And it was deadpan Andy. No, it was Stonewall. And then a couple of weeks later, I went, right, hurry up, do you want a DJ at Glastonbury? And then I remember going, was all squeezed in this car, and then just coming over a hill and then just seeing it, and it just carries on for as far as the eye can see, and I just thought, whew. And then that was, so we got there on the Tuesday or something, and then I was playing on the Thursday night, and it was in like a marquee. It's just, and then I'd done a few other little gigs as well. But when I started playing, and people coming up and saying, "Can you come play here? Can you come play there?" Or someone would just ring you saying, "A DJ's not turning up." So I remember one night I was playing in Bezzy's Acid House tent from 3 till 5, and then there's a private members bar called Gorilla Bar around the corner, and this girl Gronya, who run it at the time, she said, "Can you come and play here for half an hour?" And so I started playing about 5, 6 o'clock or whatever it was. And Nina Cherry was supposed to be on after me. And I just had the crowd, and she was like, "Fuck, I'm not going on." So I ended up playing for 7 hours till 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Ace. And I would have stayed on, but they booted me off. They said, "Look, we want to go." That's 20 years ago. I'll still be playing now if you let me. So that was one of my favourite gigs ever. And it's only a small little tent in Glastonbury where the normal punt card, you have to have like a member's card to go, and it's outside. You don't go anywhere. But that's probably my favourite gig ever. That.
Is there a track that stands out from that time that if you listen to now it takes you back? From that time or from early days? Late 80s, yeah. Early 90s.
Oh, there's a few. Like when I first heard Voodoo Ray, I think that epitomised, one, Manchester, two, what house music was about. That was when it all just started, the underground scene, and that when I first heard that, I was like, what's this? But then, like, you couldn't get it. And I wasn't working at Spinning at the time, but I was going all the time, and I was just waiting. Like Acid Thunder by Fast Eddie. I'd go in and say, it goes biggity bong, and he'd be like, "Don't know." Yeah, and then Your Love. Me and Russ were working at Spinning, and there was a massive all-nighter called Joy. I think it was 1989, 90, and I think it was Your Love that came in, and John De Silva or Steve Winley was one of the two got it, and they was playing at Joy on the Saturday night, and then the Sunday morning when the sun coming up, they dropped it. So we knew it. And punters have heard it if they went to the Hacienda, and it's just a magical moment. And Dreams of Santana, another one. But there's just millions. Arnold Jarvis, Turntable Orchestra, loads and loads.
There's obviously that scene, the Acid House scene in Manchester. You've got the early bands like Joy Division, New Order, the Smiths, and then later on Oasis and that. Are you proud of the Manchester music scene?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And like I say before, I was bitter because they were diluting the foundations that we'd made. We all played a big role. There was a place called Juicy House in Manchester, and it's just all people hired rooms, and in there was 808 had an office, K-Class had an office, Gio Goy had an office, and it was just a melting pot. A guy called Gerald had an office there. There was a couple of studios in there. Cy Crompton, we made a record with him. He was in the top floor, and Manchester really did play a major part in, like you saying about rock and roll and how certain people out there. Manchester played a massive part in that last cultural shift.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned you're moving to Spain, DJing in your daughter's bar. What else have you got planned for the future? Is there anything else?
Nothing. Nothing. I'm going to walk down the beach in my flip-flops to the bar. I'm working at the bar as well, so I'm going to work with my daughter. My grandkids are there. I'm just buying a vest, but there's a guy, a good friend Mark over there. He's runs bike clubs, so I've said to him, he's doing a vest book for me. So I'm going to go ride around the island, do a bit of camping, just relax. Hopefully.
Yeah, it does sound.
Yeah, take my grandkids to football practice, just stuff.
Yeah, it sounds brilliant. Yeah, yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck with it. And it's been great to talk to you.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're most welcome, Ethan. Take care, mate.
You too.